on social media.
And welcome back to another episode of the Push to Pass podcast. Obviously, this is season number 3. And again, I welcome everyone that is tuning back in for season number 3. I know that we did miss last week's show, and that falls on me for not being prepared, as they say. Piss poor bad preparation prevents piss poor performance, or something to that effect. But again, welcome. This is season 3 of the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derik Vance. For everyone that is new to the show, I'm working on a new setup, different type of setup. That is why I am not being shown my radio style face this evening. But I know 2 people that don't have a face for radio. They definitely have a face for podcasting. And let me bring the other 2 gentlemen in that make up the better half of the Push to Pass podcast. And I am referring to Josh Roberts and Michael Monroe. Josh, it's been a long off season. Glad to have you back. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic this evening. I can't wait. We're back for, I believe this is either season 3 or season 4. I've lost count of the Push to Pass podcast. Tiny thing that started out with Derik. Derek's love of racing, all things racing, including IndyCar. That's what we focus mainly on. And as my thing says, can you feel it? Can you feel the engines roaring? This past weekend, they were roaring down at St. Pete, and it was a fantastic race. And I can't wait to get to all the highlights and talk about different things that we've been discussing about.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. That is what this evening has in store. We are going to talk about everything that we seen and witnessed this past weekend down in St. Petersburg, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. But before we get into that, discussing, analyzing, and all of the sorts, we still got one more individual that makes up the trio of the Push to Pass podcast, and that is our own Michael Monroe. Michael, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, a lot to talk about. A lot of excitement for IndyCar this year. I know, Derik, you said you're getting a little different setup. I kind of have a little bit of a different setup. I've moved some stuff around, and hopefully the sound's a little bit better this year. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I do see the first thing that I can see is your mic cover. There is a infamous logo, if no one's ever seen it before. And then I see you got the cold stare of Kevin Harvick there in the background as well for Hunt Brothers Pizzas. So definitely a different setup there indeed. Hopefully we're able to get through this evening. I know there's a thunderstorm, if you just heard the thunder in the background that just rolled through. So hopefully we're able to get out in front of that and bring you a great analysis and analyzation of the race this past Sunday. Speaking of, let's get into that. A different type of layout than what we've done in the past. Normally it's been, and I know people are probably going to disagree with this, but it was the old boring, same old. You go for the 5 takeaways and then the results, standings, etc. Well, we're going to shake things up a little bit this year, change the format there a little bit. And I know Michael and Josh collectively put together a great outline for the show this evening. So I am going to let either one of them take it away, and we're going to now break down what we witnessed, all of us, this past Sunday on the streets of St. Petersburg in the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Michael, Josh, take it away.
Yeah, this past weekend we had a fantastic race in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. Expectations were high on the first lap, and as I've said in the past, if you don't get past the first lap, you don't you can't win the race. And two of those drivers, that would be Stingray Robb and the offspring of the great Michael Schumacher. His first name is escaping me right now, but they didn't quite make it through the first lap. They may have made turn one, and then one ended up on top of the other. If you watch the race, it was quite a kerfuffle. One ended up being on top of the other. Mainly, I think it was Stingray Robb's mishap. He may have turned when he should have zigged when he zagged. Michael, what did you see in that crash, the lap one crash that we usually have, and that usually involves more cars? Thank God it only involved two cars this time.
Well, yes, the two cars involved were, there's technically three cars involved. Stingray Robb there in the 77 from Huko's Hollinger Racing. He kind of just got in there too hot. He said he didn't warm up the brakes enough and just kind of locked up the front tires there and slid through the box and that braking zone there and hit Santino Ferrucci and poor Mick Schumacher. He just wasn't in the right position there and kind of ended up on top of Santino Ferrucci, ruined both their days. I did see some. So if you're new to Formula One or IndyCar, Mick is new to. Obviously, he's new to IndyCar. So when you look at Formula One, normally when you're in a collision and you need assistance, you're done for the day. Well, Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan said that the car really just needed a front wing, but the safety workers needed him to get out of the car because of having to lift it off Santino Ferrucci. And that's really, honestly, what ended his day. Another crazy stat about the first lap incidents there in St. Petersburg is that this is the ninth out of 23 races. This is the ninth race where there's been an incident on lap one. So that's a pretty impressive stat. And the 77 just kind of just lost it there on the braking zone and just took out two good cars. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan's, they had some speed this weekend and obviously Santino's pretty good. So we'll just have to see if they can rebound this weekend.
Derik, did you have any insight on that first lap crash? What you saw? What your takeaways was it? And I apologize that I didn't realize what Mick's name is. Him being new to it, I didn't cement it to mind, or that Santino was in the crash also. But Derik, did you have any other aspects of that?
First, I was glad to see that everyone was able to skirt out of turn number one. Normally, as if you've watched St. Petersburg in the past, that's where the trouble has been when everybody bottlenecks and going into turn number one. I think about was it last year, the year before, where a friend of the show, and I'm drawing a blank at the moment, and I apologize for that. Went airborne. Devlin DeFrancesca, that's who it was. Went airborne. And wasn't able to finish, but yeah, I was glad to see everyone was able to elude turn number one. But yeah, poor Mick Schumacher, man. In your first race, you want to get out there and compete and get some experience under your belt, and he was not able to complete a lap, as well as Santino Ferrucci, where you've seen that Stingray Robb was coming in a little too hot, and Santino was a innocent bystander that got taken out as well. So definitely a hard day for high expectations into the year for Santino Ferrucci. I'm sure he'll bounce back. Stingray Robb as well. But yeah, definitely disappointment from the RLL camp. Definitely when it comes to Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, it was a bad day for Mick, but with his pedigree, I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back. And my favorite driver, as I've told you before, is Stingray Rob, just because I love his name. But he may have to not be my favorite driver if he can't do better and finish these races. And I don't know how long that he can be given passes on this before he can be called to the carpet about his piss poor performances in the last couple of years. Speaking of crashes, one crash that we didn't expect from this person was Will Power. He was in a single car. He hit the wall coming out of one of the turns and messed up his suspension pretty bad. I mean, he was able to get back out on the track, but he was 20 laps down. With him changing teams this year, going over to Andretti Global and driving the Honda there for him. I know he had high expectations. He wanted to show that he still had something left in the tank, that his former team, he was on a revenge tour, that he felt slighted by them, the fact that they didn't offer him a contract extension or something that he expected. So this single man car crash that took him out and got him put behind is very un-Will Power like. Usually he goes around and at the end he's always sitting there, but this has got to be unfamiliar territory, not only with him being with a brand new team, but crashing out in the race. Derik, what were your thoughts on his crash and his performance in his debut with Andretti Global?
I felt when I heard the rumor go around the paddock towards the end of the year that there is a potential relationship there between Will Power and Andretti Global. I came on here and I'm sure I told you guys I thought that was a great match for Will. Will's experience and skill with the road and street program that Andretti Global had. So I felt that was a great match, but definitely hard luck for Will. He, obviously switching over to a new team, being with Team Penske for as long as he was, and now switching over to Andretti Global, definitely got to get a feel for the car. Obviously it's different, driving a Chevrolet for so long, now switching over to a Honda. So I do strongly believe that Will Power is going to bounce back. It's just a matter of time with the great program that Andretti Global has. So I think it's going to take him, obviously, as it's shown on Sunday, a little bit of time to get this new Honda figured out. But I'm certain that Will Power is definitely going to be competitive moving forward. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously Will Power has the talent, and Andretti Global has the money. Obviously Dan Towers coming in and providing the money and the finances. They have the money, they have the resources. The 26 team has just been, they've had issues for years now, whether it's pit road, poor Colton Herta had time. So they've just got to clean up the 26 team in general. They have to get the pit road situations fixed. And you're right, Derik. Will does have to get accustomed to the Honda power. I'm sure they have different braking, systems in those cars. So he's just got to work those things out, and the team has to kind of customize themselves to Will as well, because Will's going to have different inputs and different philosophies than Colton had. So at the end of the day, it's that growing pain with a new team, and Will, like Derik, you said, he was with Team Penske for about a dozen years or more than a dozen years. So it's kind of like a marriage. It's got to build. That communication's got to build. What his expectations are and what their expectations are going into this season, and working through those hiccups is going to be a challenge at times. But those good teams know how to grow and build through those challenges, and I think the 26 team will. I mean, you've seen that they had speed in the other cars, with Erickson and Kyle Kirkwood. So they have the speed. They just need to figure out how to get that stuff polished out, and they'll be successful.
Yeah, yeah. I do believe that with Will Powers, his veteran prowess and his veteran knowledge, he's going to be able to work out those kinks and get accustomed to his new team a lot faster. Next up on our next subject is David Malukas. Where this is a young man that 2 years ago in 2024 missed the he was with Errol McLaren. He had just signed, and he missed the race to begin with a wrist injury from a bike accident that just spiraled down, and he ended up making it to where Errol McLaren dropped him mid-season in 2024, which for any young driver would be just the death nail in the coffin. But this year he's with Penske, and I'm gonna throw it over to Michael and let him. He was the one that brought this one up. I'm not exactly sure what the topic was. He wanted to talk about Malukas, if it's his resilience of coming back after that 2 years ago, about the heartbreak, or what it was. So Michael.
Yeah, my big thing with Malukas is this guy has so much talent, and I've talked to David many times on the grid, in the garage area and anything. Anytime I can get a good interview with David, it's always a fun time, and he's a great character. I mean, he's got that personality. He's great on social media. He's very, very good, but he's in a situation now where he's with a team that is expected to run well and win on a consistent basis. And he just needs to kind of hone that in a little bit. You've seen he was a little aggressive early in the race, and made up a couple of spots and had some good overtakes, which was really good. But he got, after that lap one crash and that restart is where he locked up that right or left front tire and flat spotted it. And a veteran driver would know that. And this is where I kind of fault David, but I also fault the team, because they should have known that was a long slide for that tire, and it's not going to last for a long time. That's where the team either should have come in and said, hey, we need a box now, or David says, hey, the vibration is just way too bad, we need to pit. So that's that kind of, I don't want to say rookie mentality, because David's been in the series for a while, but that's where the veteran leadership from the 12 team needs to come in and say, hey, that was a long drag there on that tire. Let's go ahead and just box now. We'll, and instead of, blowing the tire, dragging the car around the racetrack, losing performance in the car. He did come back, to have a good finish, but, he went a lap down, finished 12th or 13th. So it was a good recovery for Malukas, but those are those situations where we talk about Will Power and his expertise and the growing pains. I think we're going to have some growing pains just with Malukas is coming from a car that's not overly competitive. So he wants to, drive that car to the ability it can. And it's just going to be those growing pains as well.
Derik, what was your?
I agree with Michael, but I'm going to take a different approach to this, because to me, the jury's still out on David Malukas. Now, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to get jumped on social media by the Malukas groupies, because I know you're out there. The sky's the limit for him. Let me preference that first. The sky's the limit for him. He's still considered the young guns on the NTT IndyCar Series circuit. But to me, and I think Josh and Michael are going to get this analogy. David Malukas right now is that, 5-tool prospect in baseball that is just waiting to hit that maturity level to where he can explode and show those 5-tool skills. He just hasn't had you can't say he hadn't had the opportunity. Let me say that he's had flashes over when he was
I think we've lost Derik. He was he. I did get his reference. The five-tooled baseball player, just trying to get a hit out there and show his talent. So I don't know if Derik's dropped off or what, but we're going to move on to our next topic, which is we were talking about one veteran earlier from Willpower, but we're going to move on to another veteran, Scott Dixon. Through no fault of his own, through a tire, was just driving, and all of a sudden his tire just came off. And if you watch the broadcast, and I believe it was the right back tire man just couldn't get that gun on there enough to get that nut tightened on enough. And as he drives off, you could see the wobble in the tire, and it didn't take long till that tire just all of a sudden came off. And that is an uncharacteristic move or mistake for a veteran pit crew. And I don't know if somebody got fired for that. I hope not. I hope it was just a verbal talking to, hey, you got to make sure you can't tell us to go if you're not 100% sure that wing nut is on there. But it's a tragic thing when the tire comes off, and thank God it didn't bounce up over the safety barrier and hit anybody. If you remember a couple years ago back at the 500, you had at Indy, you had a tire fly through the air and land in the parking lot that could have hurt somebody. Those tires, if you ever see them up close and you've picked them up, they are not a light thing. They weigh several pounds, and as you're flying, and if they get ejected off of a car, it will fly, and if it hits anything, it's going to catastrophically hurt someone, if not kill them. So and for him to not be injured and the car to be okay after losing that wheel, was a major saving point. And it's weird to see a car without a wheel. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's definitely a situation that you don't see very often from the team of Chip Ganassi Racing. They're normally on it, but it's one of those mistakes that happens. And when you look at it from a team standpoint, it's just something that happens in racing. It's all part of it. Racing is one of those sports that's one of the biggest team sports in all of professional sports, and it's because of things like that. You have a pit crew. You have a team that is on point 95% of the time, and when that 5% doesn't happen, then you have that situation where tires fall off, you run out of fuel, and things of that nature. So looking at it from that perspective, we have to look at it and say, okay, as a team, how do we get better? And it's just reps. We're early in the season. These teams are prepared all winter long, and it's just early in the season. We got to get the cobwebs shaken out, because you can practice all week long, but once you get in those race situations is where you have to perform at your highest. And we know that things happen out. I mean, you look at Derik brought up baseball. You hit a foul ball, or in football, you throw an interception. So when you look at those situations, those are all part of the sport, and it's just something that happens. And Dixon is one that you always have to highlight on road and street courses because of his fuel saving strategies and techniques that he has. So he was one early that topped off on that lap one. When that lap one crash happened, he was one of the last ones to come in before the green flag and top off, because they were on that fuel strategy, and he probably would have finished pretty high up there, but the loose wheel is definitely not what he needed.
Yeah, it looks like we got Derik back. As we were talking about, there's storms outside here in Indianapolis, so he had a little bit of power surge. Derik, we were talking about Scott Dixon and his runaway wheel. What analogies do you have on that? Never mind. Oh, hold on. I think we got you, Derik. No, not again. So Derik is still having power issues at his house, I suppose. So we're going to move on to our next topic. We were talking about tires, and I'm going to let Michael take over this next one about just the overall tire strategies and how the tires held up in St. Pete this year.
Oh, tires, Josh! Why did you throw this to me? This is your favorite topic. If you've been on this show very often, you watch us. You know, man, it's something that is crucial in IndyCar, and they've instituted the new have to run 2 soft tires. I'm not sure that I agree with that. I like the strategy of having 2 different compounds of tires, but I don't like the fact that they're dictating when and where you have to use them and things of that nature. I like that you have to use both at least once, but let the teams make the call and make the decisions that are best for the teams. Also talking about that, there was basically no fall off between the 2 tires. It was towards the end, the Reds sidewall tires, the softer tires, finally decided that they were all out of juice. But the first 65, 75, 80% of the runs, they were pretty consistent. So I'd like to see Firestone kind of work on those compounds to get the softer tire to fall off a lot quicker, because then you do have that strategy that comes into play. When do I run the soft tires? Do I run them the first 2 stints and then get rid of them for the race, or do I hope for a caution towards the end and use them then? But those are the good things about IndyCar that's fun to watch, is the tire strategy. And Josh, come on, we have to get your insight on tires, because we know it's your favorite subject.
As I've grown along, and I've listened to more deep in depth about the tires, it has been a more interesting topic for me as it becomes a strategy. I didn't know about soft wall or hard wall. You got different walls, and the strategies are becoming more and more interesting to me. I am not a fan of, if you don't qualify well, you get like a set of a good tire that you don't use, but yet if you qualify really well, you can't. You have to use your old used tires. I think you should start on an even plane. Maybe that's just me, but I think everyone should start with the same amount of new tires at every race. You shouldn't have to resort back to using old tires. But I am coming around on the tires, and I don't agree that they should mandate that you use 2 sets of each, because what if you just have a 3-stop race? I mean, I get it. I think 2 sets. You should make it to where you have to use the hard one or the soft one at least once during the race, but then leave it up to the teams if they want to use another strategy and not have to go through that many sets of tires. So, like I said, but I know Michael's just giddy. He's just giddy because he loves tires, and I'm coming around to the tires. It's becoming more and more of an interesting topic and strategy to me.
So I have a question for you, because I watch all forms of racing, and I really, during the COVID pandemic, I really got into Formula One with the Drive to Survive. When I first started watching, they had a rule that if you qualified in the top 10, then you had to start the race on your qualifying set of tires. What do you think about that? Is that something because then you have the back markers that can kind of make a little bit of progress. That's something that you would go for?
Say that again. I apologize. I was reading comments I'm getting ready to put up on the screen. What was that?
I like this. Throw that one up there. That one's a good one. That one's good. Let's show this one. This is a good comment. No, we shouldn't give the Stingray's tires away. But my
highest bidder gets his tires. Bidder,
oh man, that's good. So what I was saying is, so in Formula One, with the 20-car field, if you qualified in the top 10, the qualifying tires you qualified in the last stint, or no, it was in Q2, you had to use those tires to start the race. What do you think about that?
I could see that. I could see that. That would be that'd bring an interesting twist to it.
It could, but I do think that we should have to run the tires at least once. One hard, one soft, and then let the teams do what they want to do.
Hey, look at this. Let's look. This is a good topic that Stymie Snurdly. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but if Scott Dixon's wheel doesn't fall off, does Palou lap the field?
No, he doesn't lap the field. But man, we've got to figure out something with that guy. Man, he is just too quick. It's kind of funny. I wondered how long it would take for us to get through this episode, because I didn't actually put him in the rundown at all, just because I knew we'd get to him at some point. I'm shocked it took us 31 minutes almost to get into that. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, Alex Palou, he's just too good right now. I mean, let's see how he does, because it's still early. People have already written off the season, and we're one race in. Like, he wasn't there for a minute. So we'll see what happens. Someone ran out of talent about the time he crossed the start-finish line. Man, you just do not like Stingray Rob, do you? Yeah, that's kind of what I hinted on with the 26 car. There've been a lot of issues with that team, for a couple of years now. So,
Yeah. I mean, on the topic of Palou, I know it's not one of ours, but somebody's got to go find the contract that he signed with the devil and just tear it up, because that man he can drive. And I mean, I said this on Sunday. I cannot believe that an F1 team has not reached out and tried to get him on. I mean, Connor Daly is going to be racing some F1 this year. What does Connor Daly, outside of having a manufacturer or some sort of what talent does Connor Daly have? Oh, not Connor Daly. Who am I thinking of? Who's the Indy? I'm so sorry. It's not Connor Daly. Who just went over from IndyCar to F1?
Colton Herta.
Colton Herta, there we go. Yeah, sorry.
I was really confused.
No,
I think you got confused because of the comment about being a Connor fan, and then you're like, Colton Herta.
What talent does Colton Herta have over Alex Palou? And besides having an in with a manufacturer or a team, what does he have that outshines Alex Palou?
He has Dan Towers backing him, and Dan Towers has money. He's the owner of the Group 101, it's 1001, which is also part of Gamebridge, TWC or TWG AI that's on Will Power's car. So money and name recognition, part of the Andretti family for years and all that. So I don't know. I think, and this has been settled. That had kind of happened over the offseason with the McLaren and the McLaren and the whole situation with the lawsuit with Palou. I think that's got a black eye on him in Formula One, because they don't want to deal with that drama. They don't want the drama of that. Like it's something that's and contracts in F1 don't matter. They really don't matter. If you follow F1 at all, Red Bull is a prime example of that, because they will get rid of you in 2 races. Ask Liam Lawson; he knows all about it. 2 races, and he was out last year. But, Colton is going over there, and we'll see what he can do. I'm really excited about what he can do. He looked to be pretty good in practice and in testing there. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to follow. It'll give us another topic to talk about on the podcast as well. When he's racing over there, we can kind of touch bases and keep an eye on him.
Definitely. But we've overstated it. Palou is a monster. He just cannot be slowed down. He picks up right where he left off. You would think that the legal batter may have taken something out of him, but no, it didn't. And he won by like 14, 15 seconds. And that's going to lead us into our next topic. Fox's coverage.
Fox picked up right where Alex Palou left off. Horrible. They are on the opposite end of Alex Palou. Alex Palou is greatness, and Fox has been pretty bad. And you and I talked about it a little bit in the middle. People come to watch racing. Okay, if you want to talk to celebrities, do it before, do it after. And I don't want to talk to a celebrity in the middle of a green flag run. Talk to me about the races that are happening on the racetrack.
Michael, you are a die-hard racing fan, and you would watch a race if it was like a big wheel race. You would watch it. Fox is not trying to cater to you. They're catering to those niche fans that are, somehow, Jameis Winston, famous Jameis is the one we're talking about. He was I don't know if he was the Grand Marshal, but he was a big commentator this weekend on Fox. Former Florida State Heisman Trophy national champion, played in the NFL for years. He brings eyeballs. He brings eyeballs that normally may not have been on the race, and you just want to get them into the door. And I understand you want them to show, instead of showing celebrities, you want them to show the battle for 15th back there. It's just not to American fans that are not diehard fans. They are not, that does not interest them. You cannot take the F1 stance of showing, the battle for 19th, because the battle for 19th it's going to be the same two people the entire race for the most part in F1. They want to get fans in. And the prime example, the biggest example I can bring to you of a celebrity bringing eyes to a game, to a sport, is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has brought so many female fans. They started out because she's dating Travis Kelce. She would go to the games. They'd show her on the Jumbotron. She brought a lot of female fans in. Now, some of them may have left. Some of them may only watch Chiefs games. But I bet you there's a large portion of them that saw the game, started watching it, and got more interested in it because they only showed clips of her. They never even talked to her. And just that recognition to American fans brought a large group in of fans.
Okay, I get that, but we're talking, if Taylor Swift was at the race, sure, we could show her because that would get eyeballs on. How many people tuned in because they knew Jameis Winston was there? 5 people? The numbers are flat. The same people the same 1.4 million people from last year watched this year. So, and my thing is yes, you're right. Taylor Swift brought eyeballs to the Chiefs. She's there at almost every home game. If Jameis Winston had the celebrity status of Taylor Swift and he was going to every IndyCar race, that would be a different story. But to help, and I'm going to throw this comment up here because this is absolutely right. They need to show more battles because you want more sponsorship. This is exactly how you do it. This is exactly how you wonder why F1 has millions and millions and millions of dollars pumped into them, because they do talk about the battle for 13th. They do talk about the battle for 15th. You want to talk about chasing fans? Ask NASCAR about chasing fans. They've ruined their sport because they're chasing fans. They're actually reverting their sport back 20 years because they've been chasing fans for the last 10. So you want to talk about losing eyeballs? No one wants to hear a former NFL player talking about former NFL stuff. Now, he was talking about the race, so I'll give him that. He was talking about his love for the sport. He also talked about that at the beginning of the race. So for the fans that are watching the race, those are things. This is why they need pre-race shows and post-race shows, because then you can get, hey, I'm really excited. This could have been my first IndyCar race. And then you talk to him before. You get, the Grand Marshal before. And then you get their thoughts after the race because they've seen the race. They've been there. Their whole excitement about being there. You can get that, at the end of the race. Show the race. And Fox zooming in on Alex Palou for 15 laps when he's a 14-second lead is another problem. We don't care at that point. We know he's out there. He's just doing his stuff at that point. If you continue to show that, you're going to lose viewers too, because you'll be the Jimmy Johnson thing where Jimmy was winning all these races, and it's like, okay, we get it. Show us someone else.
Well, I blame that mentality on a film called Talladega Nights. If you ain't first, you're last. Americans only worry about who's first. They don't. A lot of them don't care about who comes in second. They don't care who comes in 19th. Unless there's a crash in the back of the field, a lot of them don't care. Now, I do agree that focusing so much on Palou is a detriment to the sport. But these other guys have got to figure out how to race like Palou. If we get guys up there that are going to be challenging Palou, they went over Palou's, starting last year. It was like first, ninth, fourth. Actually, never got ninth, but he only messed up one time throughout the entire season, and none of these other drivers are being able to keep up with him and keep up with him. So I mean, if you can't beat him, I mean, show him what you got. But I thought Fox's coverage was okay. I mean, it's not the greatest. I do give Fox credit. They have stuck with their word. They have advertised the races. Although I did bring up the fact that the very first race that they advertised was for the 500. That race sells itself. They should have been talking about the desert, the duel in the desert, or double.
The desert double. The desert double.
Desert double. So, but they've stuck with them. They have not moved them to FX one time that I know of, unless it was like a delay. So I do give them that. They're unlike NBC. They haven't moved them to a secondary channel on their network. Do they have room to grow? Yes, they do. Will Buxton, though, doing a fantastic job like he did last year. Absolutely. I love Will Buxton. I love his his analysis. He brings that F1 that you love, that description of the race to him.
Yeah, I beat Fox up, so I'm gonna cut back a little bit. I'm gonna give them some flowers now, because they do deserve flowers. The marketing is good. I know you talked about selling the 500. It does, but you also want to keep the fan. Hey, 500's coming up. 500's coming up. Now, there is something I want to talk about, and that's the Dallara cutaway car. When you can show the fans what you are talking about with a visual, 100% helps keep the fan engaged. You're talking about brake biases and how those work, and the brake pedals and things like that. And I wish they would have cut to the cutaway car to show the detents for the Scott Dixon wheel coming off. Because those detents, it doesn't matter if they get that lug past those detents, and the wheel's not necessarily all the way tight, the nut won't come off. I wish they'd have showed that, but I'm gonna give them credit. The cutaway car is a great tool to keep fans engaged, and also to help the announcers show the fans what we're actually talking about. Another thing I want to give them credit for is the commercials. They've continued those from last year to this year. They have kept it on Fox, the regular Fox channel, so we're not. Oh well, what channel is the race on this week? It's on this. Oh, what is it on? Is it on this streaming platform? That streaming platform? Is it on Peacock? Is it on NBC? Is it on CNBC? I didn't even know it was a channel until we were getting bumped over there. So those are things that I do want to give Fox credit for. We did touch base. I did touch base on the numbers. 1.4 million from last year to this year. It's staying steady, which is good.
I was going to say, do you consider that a good thing or a bad thing? You're not losing, but you're also not growing.
You're not growing. Now, this weekend could show that. It could show that, hey, we are growing because we're going to an oval, and it's the first time. I had to look this up because I was like, when's the last time? And I actually forgot about this. In 2023, because I wanted to know the last season, there was an oval before the Indy 500. And that was 2023. They raced at Texas before they went to the Indy 500. And I do believe that we should run an oval before we get into the 500.
Yeah. Yep. That's going to be a fantastic thing. We've had a special guest join us. Mike from Indy Bets is back again this year. Looks like he's in a warehouse somewhere. It's where all his cars from winning all the money it's where he parks them, is that warehouse. How's it going, Mike?
Yeah, dude. So after last week, it's empty.
Oh no.
I'm at my kids' swim practice. This is you gotta make do with what you can figure out. So
well, we do appreciate you coming on and being a special guest again and helping us out this year for our betting aspect of the show.
Yeah, man. Last week was great, man. Obviously, I was at the track, it was a great week to start the week. I had McLaughlin was my bet. McLaughlin was my pick. Had it all out there over social and everything like that, and had him at 8-1. He scored the pole, and he fell all the way to maybe 3-1, 2-1. So that's what you're trying to do, right? When you're betting IndyCar, especially on road and street courses, you're trying to bet the guys who are going to start up front, who normally going to win the race. I knew there was a chance I'd get Palou. It happened a lot last year where I got a ton of line value, but it doesn't matter if Palou's going to win. So, I do, I did have a little hedge, had McLaughlin also top 3 at 2.5-1. So still not a losing week, a break-even week, but gosh, McLaughlin winning that. And he knew his odds too. It's funny. He took a picture with my son and I said, "What's up? Cash that 8-1, man." He gave me a smile. They're still like talking about betting in that paddock. But I should have known better. My kid also, he almost got run over by Palou in a scooter, gave Palou a fist bump, said good luck. I was like, gosh, that should have known right there to bet the guy. But but my kid had McLaughlin top 3, so I owe him money now too. So, but yeah, it was fun, man. It was a good start to the year. Like anytime I can have 8-1 and a pole sitter on a street course, like I'm happy. So didn't work out. Palou, we're gonna have to figure out a ways to bet. I don't know. Last year I got smart, bet a lot more top 3s, just knowing that the dude would just smoke everybody. But honestly, in hindsight, Palou was 4-1 to start the weekend. That was a gift. We'll never see that again. That's it. Like no more. I believe he already is a 2-1 favorite here, or 3-1 at most in Phoenix, which is probably wrong on an oval, but on road courses, street courses, he's going to be like even money, and that might even be a good bet. So
yeah, definitely. So I mean, with them, the first time them going to Phoenix, I mean, there's not a lot of data out there. You just have to watch qualifying and see how that goes.
Yeah, look. So the one thing I did mention, I threw this out there. It's funny. I threw this out there earlier. I heard a little birdie tell me when I was poking around some stuff in St. Pete. Like I like to go bug the engineers. I had Tony around with me. And just kind of asking questions. ECR was super fast at that track in testing, and Rasmussen's shown that he's got some cojones on the ovals, and he's got a win under his belt. So the ECR cars had my eye as maybe a opening line bet. Caesars dropped their odds out today, and they were 40-1. I have a feeling that's gone from what I've seen on Twitter already. But if you could grab Rasmussen and even Rossi top three, or Rossi 40-1, like, get that if your sports book has that. I think they're going to be quick. They put a lot of testing into Phoenix. They did well in the tests. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. Like with an oval, qualifying doesn't matter as much. I think we just kind of wait and see what happens in practice. They haven't been there. We got no history. So save most of your money for Saturday at noon is what I would probably do. And I think right now, like, I got a little bit of a lean to Joseph. I think he's going to do well here if the rest of the short ovals are an indication. But I'll wait and see. But yeah, ECR 40-1 if you can get it, and then keep an eye on practices and pay attention and catch the sports book sleeping. I don't think Palou wins. I hope not. I just, we'll see. By the way, if he doesn't win, we probably should just bet him in Arlington, because that's probably happening as well.
Yeah, it looks like Rossi's at 18-1 and Rasmussen is at 20-1. So
yeah. So like, boom, like you got to be quick. Yeah. So the book's messed up, and somebody bet that. I don't have Caesars, but some people that follow me posted it and said they got 35s. I saw people get 40s. So people know, right? People pay attention, and the sports books were like, oops. But you never know. DraftKings could come out with a big number. They're probably going to just copy Caesar's lines. So those are gone. It's probably not any value in anymore. Maybe Rasmussen I can get behind. I don't know about Rossi. Rossi, I feel like, is just going to be happy to get like a top 5, top 10. But yeah, if you find anything north of 30, 35, 40 with the ECR cars, I'd hit that bet, and then just wait for Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Michael, you got any questions for Mike?
No, not really. The betting is just not for me. I just not there on the betting thing. I know it's big for sports, and I mean, Mike, you've come on, for the past couple of years, and you've talked about betting. Could you just talk a little bit about how that has grown within the sport of IndyCar?
Yeah, man, it's still got a long, long, long way to go. If you compare it to Formula One and NASCAR, and even some like lower series racing, IndyCar, like, I think part of the problem, it's always been that the sport itself, the people high up in the sport, like, they still don't want to acknowledge it as a revenue stream for them, potential marketing for them. So it has gotten a lot more mainstream as sports betting itself has gotten mainstream. If you look and see what like football is doing and basketball is doing, and now even golf, like I do a lot of golf betting. That's probably my next favorite thing to bet. On golf betting now, they have ESPN Bet, and they have a whole stream of TV doing nothing but talking about betting on a hole, bogey, par, birdie, and lines for it, and you live bet the hole as they come up, player group by group. It's spectacular, and then there's just a ton of data behind it. There's some guys who do some really good things in golf and making a lot of money. So it's getting bigger and bigger. Obviously, it's nice to see, like my following gets bigger and bigger. I see more people talking about it, more people get interested in it, but hopefully it just continues to grow. Like I said, if you compare it to F1, like in F1, you can bet number of passes, you can bet each driver's finishing position, you can bet pit stops. So I remember when I went to the F1 race in Vegas, I had a huge bet on fastest pit stop for McLaren that cashed. That was a ton of fun to watch throughout the race. You can bet on, it's endless. The F1 bet list is like 20 pages long per race. I was looking at the Australia one, and listening to some of the guys at Apex Insiders that really know their stuff to see if there's something to snag. But yeah, we really have a long way to go, but it's coming. It's legalized now. It's pretty much legal in most every state. And if not, you can do it offshore. We even have the prediction markets are coming up. Kalshi is something who just partnered with Apex Insiders. And that's a prediction market. You can bet yes and no. I'm still personally learning a little bit about that. I had a couple of contracts on that. That's a whole new world, but all that's coming up. So IndyCar eventually has to get with the times. I know Doug Bowles, the president CEO, he's he's for it. I think he's got some convincing to do to like the Ganassis and the Rogers of the world to figure it out. I mean, he was happy to bring Caesars into the 500 that one year. It kind of didn't work out great from what I understand. But I think like doing that again and getting more traction behind it will be a thing. So it's a big deal. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, probably times a couple. So man, the more it becomes mainstream, I think the more it'll bring eyes to IndyCar and it'll help grow the sport. So I really still feel like strongly about, they embrace it, they'll get more people. I saw so many people at St. Pete that were talking about making bets. I heard people making bets in the stands. There were so many younger generation there who are in this, like my son, he's 14-year-old, and he's like, hey, what's the top 3 line on McLaughlin? Like, yeah, all right, I get that because he knows what I'm doing with it, but him, they know these kids are going to grow up knowing these stuff, and it's going to be something where it keeps people into the sport a little bit, especially in boring races.
Definitely. You got to start them young. We had one of our viewers wants to know what your thoughts on Malukas is. He's currently 8-1.
Yeah, I'd wait. Qualifying doesn't matter. Like I said, street courses and road courses, we do want to definitely make a pre-qualifying card to try to get some value. When it comes to ovals, you got to wait and see where they qualify. A good example, like Joseph would dominate Iowa, and I would actually hope for him to qualify 5th or 6th because it's just a 1-lap thing. You could see guys trim it out for qualifying, but we knew race pace he was going to be the man. I do think Malukas will do well on a Penske car. So he's somebody I got my eye on. I mean, all the Penskes have really good history at short and mid-length ovals. But like we can wait and see and watch the practice times. Malukas was one of the faster guys in the test at Phoenix. So yeah, I don't know if I'd jump on the 8-1. Because I think if he puts it in the top 5, he still might be 8-1 if he starts 5th or 4th. And then you can at least have some more information to come to bat with, or there may be some other guys at better numbers that you like better. So I'd wait on that. Yeah, if he hits the pole, he's going to be 4-1, gets cut in half. So if you feel strongly he's got a pole car, I don't know if he's any quicker, or he's ever shown us that he's got 1-lap qualifying pace, no matter what the car. So that'd be what I'd do with him. Wait and see.
Okay, thanks, Mike. As always, we love your input on the show here. We're looking forward to the rest of the year, getting your insight and making a lot of money. Tell us again, where can we find you?
Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff in the Apex Insiders. If you go to @Apex Insiders, there's a Discord, and the Discord has a whole IndyCar chat. All of my picks are there. There's some other really smart guys in there that know what they're talking about. But really, just follow Twitter. Follow, share, retweet all the stuff on Twitter. Try to get more people involved. It's @Indy_bet. So you can find me there. Look for the Domino's Al Jr. car picture. And yeah, that's pretty much as I make bets, I put it out there. I don't charge anything, and you can fade or follow, your choice.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. We look forward to it, and we appreciate you taking time out from your son's swim class or swimming lessons or whichever competition, whatever it is, yeah, for us.
No, man, anytime. I'll talk IndyCar racing. So take care, guys. Good seeing you.
See you next week. That was Mike from Indy_bets. Looks like we have Derik back. Derik, are you okay over there? Do you have power back? Derik, are you there? Okay, Derik
maybe not.
Maybe not. He must be still trying to get his circuit breaker back on. We were before Mike came on. We were talking about the Fox coverage. Was there anything else you wanted to throw in there, Michael, on the coverage? I know you were talking about you wanted better onboard cameras. Is that what you were talking about with the very first accident?
No. The onboard cameras are actually super cool right now with the driver eye. That's where I was going with that. With being basically in the visor of a driver. Those cameras are absolutely phenomenal, and they do a great job with that. So all kudos to that for Fox, because I kind of beat them up at the beginning of the segment, but we have to give them some love now because they're a big partner now with IndyCar, obviously buying into the series. So we have to give them love, and hopefully they can help grow the sport.
Yes, that is correct. Our next topic, we are going to move on to who's hot and who's not.
It's kind of like a new thing.
It's a new thing. Who's hot, who's not? Which driver is going? No, never mind. Not going to go that way. But who of all the drivers, who was on your hot list this weekend? Who shined the brightest for you?
If we take Palou out of the picture, I have to do that. For me, there's two drivers that come to mind. It would definitely be Marcus Ericsson. He's in a contract year. Ran top 2, 3 there for most of the race before that final pit stop where they left him out there way too long on the red tires. And the second, he kind of had the same issue, kind of got hung up by Marcus Ericsson as the other Marcus Armstrong. Those were the two drivers for me that I actually took Marcus Armstrong in our picks. We can look at that here in a little bit, but looking at that, it was someone I had my eye on. He looked pretty quick in practice, qualified pretty well. So, those were the two drivers that I thought, did pretty well this weekend. They were on my hot list.
Derik, what about you? What drivers stood out to you the most?
Hey, let's not forget about test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Hey, let's not forget about Michael's favorite team and what Dale Coyne accomplished with two new drivers this weekend with Roman Grosjean and Dennis Hauger.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, Derik. They're my favorite punching bag team, I feel like, for the past couple of seasons. But, you got to give them credit. Two good drivers, two good showings, a lot of money into that organization over the offseason. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I chose Grosjean as my driver this week.
That you did. You did pretty well with him.
Derik, did you have any other things on your hot drivers outside of Dale Coyne?
I also thought give a little bit of credit to Joseph Newgarden. Not a great qualifying day for him, but he was able to keep his nose clean, and I do believe he walked away with a top 10 finish, and I believe he was the Jocelyn's biggest mover of the race as well. So I think kudos goes to Joseph Newgarden in the number 2 team.
Definitely. He was the gainer of the week. So looks like we have one of our other special guests for back again this year, IndyCar weatherman. Weatherman, how's it going?
Pretty good, guys. How have you been over the off season?
I've been pretty good.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, I guess we're back at it again, right? I appreciate the invite, and we'll just jump right into it. It's a pretty straightforward forecast. Something you might expect for early March in Arizona. Sunny conditions throughout, and temperatures really ranging from about the mid 70s to the mid 80s. So I know we're looking at 4 days of track activity with a bunch of different series out there, and we're really focused on Friday and Saturday for IndyCar. One weather-related item that's kind of worth noting there is a flip in the wind direction between the sessions on Friday, and as we go into the race Saturday, the winds go basically from a westerly wind to an east wind. So maybe that's just one item worth noting. We know that the wind can have an impact, particularly in the trim and setup on cars, especially when it comes to ovals. So in my post, I did mention that I was keeping an eye on a low pressure circulation that's going to set up near Baja later this week. So typically what those systems will do is grab moisture from the Pacific and pump it into the Southwest U.S. But it usually takes a couple days to build enough moisture in the atmosphere before any of that manifests itself as rain showers. So I don't think we get there really by the end of the weekend. By Sunday, it's really more a possibility in the Phoenix area, maybe some showers Monday or into Tuesday, but something to keep an eye on. So not anticipating any impacts to the events this weekend, though.
That's fantastic to hear. With it being a doubleheader with both IndyCar and NASCAR being there, and there's going to be all eyes and lots of eyes on the track. So can't wait to see that. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Weatherman, before we say goodbye?
Nope, I'll just throw out there, you guys can find me on X or Blue Sky posting the same content. Just do a search for IndyCar Weatherman and check for any updates that come out during the week as we get closer to the event.
Definitely. Want to thank you again for coming on. It's just the beginning of the season. We look forward to hearing from you, and hopefully we have perfect skies throughout the year.
Yep, fingers crossed. You guys have a good night.
You too. Thanks. Okay, and I think our next topic we were going on to was who was hot. Well, we're going to go to who's not. I'm going to take the first two on this one. For me, the person that was not hot wasn't even on the track. It was Scott Dixon's tire changer. Not getting that thing on to keep the wheel on and derailing his season just a little bit at the beginning. You want to get a strong start, losing a tire and not finishing well, finishing 20 laps down, not a good start. So that for me, who's not is the pit man for Scott Dixon. Derik?
Nothing like taking the obvious there, but yeah, Scott Dixon not getting off to the start that I'm sure he envisioned for the 2026 season. But I think someone else, and we talked about him earlier. Obviously, I think this is just going to be a minor hiccup in his transition to Andretti Global. But I'm sure that Will Power didn't get off to the start that he was expecting at St. Petersburg last weekend. So I'm going to go with Will Power.
Okay, guys, there's one person it's time to talk about, and that is Nolan Siegel. Nolan Siegel, what is happening? He had all this promise, and his teammates are outrunning him by 20 positions week in and week out. This is do or die for him. He's got to be more competitive on a week-to-week basis. He can't be running back in the 20s all race long while his teammates are up there on the podium and in the top 5. So that's who's cold for me this week.
I had one other thing, and I didn't bring this up, but it just came to me. Who was the biggest sleeper? Who was the biggest sleeper that may not have? That they didn't get talked about a lot, but came home with a really good finish. I'll let you guys go first because I have an interesting one that no one would think that I would actually call it a sleeper.
I'm going to go with the same individual that I picked for who's hot, the rookie, Dennis Hauger. Who would have thought in his first race with Michael's favorite team, the little engine that could, Dale Coyne Racing, that Dennis Hauger would put it in row 2?
Kind of piggybacking, but in a different year. I'm going my favorite guy, Rinus VeeKay. Didn't qualify well. And moved straight up through the field, did really well. Got Hungas Hollinger, the top 10 they needed. And, we talk about leader circle points towards the end of the year, but it's never too early to look at those, and that's a team that needs to be boosted into the leader circle. So definitely Renus VK for me, and hopefully I can see him at the racetrack the next time I see him, and not at the grocery store.
Those are really good ones. The one for me, and you wouldn't think I would call him a sleeper, but I just don't remember hearing his name very often. But he came home with a top 5 finish. Was Pato Award. I do not remember them talking that much about him, but to see that he had a top 5 finish and he just drove around. I mean, he ended up 26 seconds behind the winner, Alex Palou, but for Pato Award to not be talked about very much, in my opinion, and to come home with a top 5 was just remarkable.
Do you guys still believe that he is the best driver in the Arrow McLaren stable? You look at what Christian Lundgaard has done. Can one make the argument that Christian Lundgaard is the face of Arrow McLaren and not Pato Award on the racetrack?
It's kind of hard to argue with that because of how just quick Lundgaard has been over the last season. I mean, last season he started off really hot and then kind of had that midsummer stretch where it was pretty rough, and then he started picking it back up again towards the end of the season. So let's see how he runs in the middle of this season. But if we're talking about him running competitively better than Pato throughout the summer and this entire season, I would say yes, you're probably hitting on something there with Lundgaard.
At this particular point, I'm going to give it to Pato just because he's still I think he's still the face if you asked anyone of Arrow McLaren. But do I think that Lundgaard could overtake him? Yes, I do. Okay.
Let me ask one more thing before we wrap this up.
Go ahead.
Michael talked about a few minutes ago about make or break for Nolan Siegel. Well, let me throw this out. We hear all the hype year in and year out, and me in particular, about the Arrow McLaren team. Is this a make or break year for Arrow McLaren IndyCar?
No, because Arrow McLaren's still going to be one of the big teams because they have the money to pump into their program. You got the money. You're still going to be a big top dog, no matter what you are.
I would say for sure they have the marketing. Obviously, the McLaren name comes with a lot of hype and a lot of marketing. They have the fan base with Pato. Christian Lundgaard has a pretty big following as well. I would say I want to see how they're doing towards the end of the year. And I say that because this offseason, they went to a new shop. They moved from a 2.5 car shop to now a 4-car, fully funded, fully expanded. It has all the room that they need to run 4 cars competitively. Obviously, they're running 3 full-time, and Ryan Hunter-Reay will be their Indy 500 driver. So they have the space now. And if anyone's familiar with the area, they took over the Andretti Global former shop there on Zionsville Road in Indianapolis. So they have the space now. Let's see how they utilize the space and if they can be a little bit more competitive. I wouldn't say it's a make or break year for them. It's definitely a make or break season for Nolan Siegel, though.
Just to wrap it up and to counter what Josh said. Josh, have you heard this before? What have you done for me lately?
Have a lot of money and be able to buy drivers and get good technology.
That always doesn't win races, sir.
Yeah, but it always keeps you competitive. It always keeps your advertising out there, and it keeps your drivers propped up. Okay, on to the desert. If you can feel that dry heat coming out there from Phoenix, Arizona, I would love for it because it's been a little chilly here. We are moving on next week, this coming Sunday. We are Sunday or Saturday. I forget which one it is because I know IndyCar drives one and NASCAR drives the other. They are going to split the track this weekend in Phoenix, Arizona, the Oval. And like Michael was saying earlier, he loves the fact that we're getting an Oval before we ever make it to Indy. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this race going out to the desert?
Well, I will open first, and I love the fact, as Michael alluded to earlier, that IndyCar is going to an oval outside and before the Indianapolis 500. Second, always love to see new tracks or old tracks being added to the IndyCar series schedule. So definitely love that. And I think a lot of people, me in particular, love when IndyCar and NASCAR do a doubleheader type weekend. IndyCar will be on Saturday, NASCAR will be on Sunday. I know they did that one year at IMS, and all of us seen all of the NASCAR drivers that were out watching the IndyCar race, and then vice versa. So I think it's good for racing in general, and like I said, gonna love to see IndyCars on the oval before IMS.
Yeah, I touched bases on that earlier. It's good to have an oval before the Indy 500. Being a fan of racing, obviously I come from more of a NASCAR background when I was younger. This is like a dream come true for an oval for NASCAR and IndyCar to come together on an oval. It also makes the weekend worth going to, starting on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, you've got 4 days of on-track activities. I believe I want to say the ARCA series is there as well, along with the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. And Derik, I'm not sure. Maybe you can correct me, or Josh. I believe is the Indy Next series there. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then obviously the NASCAR Cup Series and the IndyCar Series are there. So it's worth the price that you'd have to pay for all 4 days. Because you get enough on-track activity. One of my big complaints with NASCAR is the lack of on-track activity. So if you're a NASCAR fan, please go buy a ticket and watch some IndyCar racing, and maybe you can become a fan if you're not already a fan.
The next Indy next race, Michael, is when the series shifts to Arlington.
Okay, well, it's gonna be a weekend full of racing, and if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, go out. I'm sure that at the Speedway they're offering a package deal, pay one price, get everything. So go out there and expand and look at that. Check out all forms of racing, because racing is an American pastime. Not as good as baseball, but it's an American pastime, whether it be a short track, an oval, a street course, or a road course. What are some of your guys' expectations? Do you think that the drivers are going to? I know it's an oval. Do you think they're going to struggle? I know they did some testing earlier this year, but do you think anything is going to be of a difficult to them?
For me, it's going to be the challenges of how the Firestone tires adapt with the Goodyear tires and vice versa. That'll be an interesting concept to see how that all plays out. Whether it's whether the setups have to be adjusted or not based on that, because when they were testing, it was just the IndyCar series there. So now you're going to add not only, the IndyCar series, but you're going to have NASCAR as well as at least the O'Reilly Auto Parts series race. So you're going to have a lot of Goodyear rubber as well down. So that's the one big thing for me. Obviously I want to see how Will Power rebounds. He was really quick in testing there. You look at the ECR cars like Mike talked about, those are definitely ones to watch. Rasmussen obviously is super quick on ovals as well. So those are definitely the expectations I'm looking at, and also the predictions I have.
I'm treating Phoenix a little bit like Indianapolis. I think you're going to see the usual suspects at the top. The cream rises to the top. I think you're going to see, obviously, how can you count out Alex Palou, obviously, but I know that's really going out on a limb. I think Mike's absolutely right. The Ed Carpenter racing car is going to be somebody to watch. Team Penske, obviously, with their oval program and the three young talented drivers that they have. Andretti with what they have experience. And Arrow McLaren as well. So definitely going to be interesting to see who rises to the top here at Phoenix on Saturday.
Yep, we are looking forward to watching this race coming this Saturday. Goodyear and Firestone Rubbers, are they their rivals? Are they going to they're going to affect each other? Before I posted on Facebook that we got a big announcement. Before we get to that big announcement and we get to the end of the show, we have revamped our pick'ems this year. You can only choose a driver one time outside of Indy. Indy is a different beast. You can throughout the year you can only choose one. You can only choose a driver one time. And if our driver wins, we get 5 points along with the 1 point of here it is. Along with the 1 point that you get for having the best finishing driver. So and Joy with a correct pick of Scott McLaughlin, who ended up being the top finisher, starts the season out at 1 point over all of us. But as I said, if this year it's going to be a little bit different. Like we said, one driver can only choose a driver once during the year, except for the month of Indy. And if they win, you get 6 points. But if you just get the top finisher, you only get 1 point. So it looks to be a dash towards the finish to see who can earn points this year. Congratulations, Joy, on picking the correct one. So we have come down to the end, and at the end we have one special announcement. We will be moving to Mondays at 7. I know we've been on Tuesdays for pretty much the entirety of this podcast, but we talked about it and we all agree. All three of us agreed that moving it to Mondays at 7:00 will be our new time slot. We will be on Twitter. We will still be on YouTube, and we will still be on Facebook. So you can catch us on any of those platforms. We also have all those platforms. We have TikTok now. You can go find us at Push to Pass on TikTok. Of course, Twitter's always out there. Derek's been tweeting up a storm. Michael tweets up a storm. They both publish stories throughout the year that they will put links out there on both Facebook and Twitter. So our big announcement is the fact that we will be moving to Monday nights at 7:00 Eastern Standard Time for the remainder of the year. So in closing, do Michael or Derek, do you have any closing comments about this past weekend or anything going forward this year that you're looking forward to?
I think we all are looking to see who can stop Palou. Is there anyone that can stop Alex Palou? Obviously, that's on everyone's radar. But I'm just excited for the ovals. There's one race we haven't talked a lot about, and that's the Freedom 250. No matter what your political stances are, we're not going to get into that. We're talking racing here. And what we know about this race is that we are going to be racing in Washington, D.C., and there's going to be more eyes on IndyCar. And that's all that should be talked about. with that race. There's going to be more eyes on IndyCar, and we're going to be racing in Washington D.C. We don't care politically how you roll. All we care about is how do we promote IndyCar, how do we grow the sport, and racing in Washington D.C. will do that.
Derek, do you have any closing comments?
First of all, I agree 100% with what Michael said. Not the fact of who's going to stop Palou, because that could be after this past Sunday a foregone conclusion. But definitely looking forward to racing at the new venues, Washington D.C. in hot August. That's going to be a scorcher. Definitely want to attend that. And then I'm looking forward to seeing what Arlington brings, racing around two great venues, Texas Rangers Stadium where the Major League Baseball club plays, and then obviously around Jerry's World where the not America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, play. Definitely looking forward to both of those venues. But most importantly, looking forward, let's not count our chickens for they hatch, but the month of May. We all know what that means to people that have grown up around Indiana. I'm an implant. If you watch the show Yellowstone, you know what I'm talking about. But an implant to Indiana. Definitely love everything that goes on out at the track during that month. And then shout out to Josh for mentioning the all of the social medias, and then also mentioning where throughout the season you can find articles not only written by yours truly, but Michael does those over at yournews.com. I do have one that I wrote earlier today highlighting the aforementioned Alex Palou and his dominance since he stepped into IndyCar back in 2021. I'd highly suggest going over to yournews.com in the auto racing section and checking that out. And then hat tip to both Michael and Josh for stepping up tonight. Didn't know that a nice thunderstorm was going to be rolling through, and I may have lost a important piece of podcasting equipment. So good thing I have a few days to scramble and try to put together a computer for next Monday. Looking forward moving to the new time and date slot, because Monday Night Raw has nothing on the Push to Pass podcast.
Whoa. Unless you're there live.
Yes, Michael was there live last night. Got to see a title change. Paul Heyman hitting the back. And my new favorite wrestler, Danhausen. Very, very good, very evil. He wants to make all those monies. So for I almost said Josh, for Michael and Derek, we are going to sign off until next week. If you love the show, send us a tweet or something telling us how much you love the show. If you don't, tweet us how you don't like it, and we can change it. So for all three of us, thank you for watching us, and we will see you next week.